The Supreme Court just gave ICE a hunting license. The Supreme Court just made racial profiling legal for immigration enforcement purposes, and they have stated that it is in the best interest of national security to be able to further immigration enforcement. So, I'm your immigration attorney, Sékou Clarke, and within my practice over the last decade, I've seen so many issues where people, they are legal or they have a pending status and they get detained by ICE or get apprehended by ICE because of the way how they look. So prior to now, one could say it was illegal to really target someone because of the way how they look. So this is something that was litigated in the Supreme Court multiple times, and they finally issued the decision that in the best interest of national security, ICE should be able to carry out their jobs by looking at someone by the way how they look, by the way how they speak, or by the places that they work to make a determination if they are in the country lawfully. So I know, I get it. You're going to have some people that say, well, how else are they going to effectively carry out their duties? And then you have some people that will say, well, if they don't have a warrant, if they don't have a reason to accost them, why even go after them? But there are 11 million undocumented people, and the government has said that they want to remove 11 million undocumented people for multiple reasons, because they're here illegally, or they came here illegally, or they pose a risk to the American people. But as a result of this, you're going to have profiling. And something that I predicted is not only will you have profiling, but because of improper training, lack of sensitivity training, you will have US citizens who will get caught up in this net that will be cast. So here are the three groups of people that will be targeted. Number 3, asylum seekers from Latin American countries, especially the ones who came in over the last 2 years. This is going to be a primary group that they're targeting. One, because they already have their name, their information, they were on the CBP app, and guess what? They have court hearings. So because these people are being targeted, right, they already have their information, they know where they are, they know they're going to come to court. So guess what? If they have a weak asylum case, they are going to dismiss those cases, and then ICE will be there waiting for them. So this is a very vulnerable group. Some would say, and I mean, I get it, you have some of these people who are criminals and they deserve to go. But what about the people who genuinely sought asylum and they're using asylum for what it is, because they fear persecution in their home country? They came here, they're working, they're integrated in their neighborhood, they have work permits, they're contributing. Should these people not have a chance if they did it the proper way? They were invited here, they did the proper route. These are people who will be targeted by ICE. Number 2, men aged 18 to 40 from Middle Eastern countries and African countries that have traveled through CBP checkpoints. Why is this such a vulnerable group? Why? Because you have a lot of Arabic countries and you have a lot of African countries who, guess what? They do come from areas where they are high risk in terms of their potential to overstay, but they also come from countries where you have a lot of terrorist activities. But how many of those people are really coming to America to really do terrorist activities or create crimes? But also how many of those people are? And for the purpose of national security, there has to be something done. And ICE is going to target these people. And you can already see it already, not only in the enforcement, but you are seeing it on the travel ban. You have over 10 countries from the continent of Africa and from Middle Eastern countries that are on these travel ban lists already in 2025 for reasons that I already discussed. This is a very vulnerable group that will be targeted for multiple reasons that I just discussed. And last but not least, visa overstays. DHS and the Department of State have unequivocally said that they are going to be targeting visa overstays and using tools that are available to them, such as social media, IRS, people who entered legally and have lost their status, right? These are the people that they really want to target. Why? Because of the fact that you have more visa overstayers in the country who are now undocumented versus people who came into the country legally. This is going to be a very vulnerable group, especially for the Caribbean and Asian countries. These people will be targeted because they are now here and they have lost their legal status and they are now undocumented, and there's a lot of resources already put behind targeting these people. How can these groups, these vulnerable groups, have a chance? And in my profession, I would say it is your immigration defense. One of the biggest miscarriages that I've seen is people here for 10, 15, 20 years and they haven't made steps, they haven't made the right efforts into securing their immigration status. Nothing is wrong with going to an attorney or doing your proper research to see if you have a chance to stay here. And I know people are going to say, well, it's difficult or it's hard. People, life is hard, but there are different strategies. We have done it all the time for people who either entered illegally or people who have lost their status that entered legally. You can regain your status with the right strategy. I get it. Some people are going to say, well, I don't want to get married. Well, it doesn't have to only be marriage. I've done consultations where the person thinks that they have no type of immigration relief, and I ask them certain questions like, have you ever been abused, or have you ever been the victim of a violent crime, or are you working and your employer is using your immigration status against you? These are different questions that I can really probe, and there are mechanisms to get people who are victims or subject to these discretionary relief. So there are answers, but guess what? What has happened in 2025 is immigration enforcement is extremely aggressive. And one of the major things that I see happening is the hysteria when people say, oh, ICE is dragging people or kidnapping people. Well, guess what? It is legal, right? I mean, not when they take American citizens that are getting caught up in this net, but it is legal for them to approach an immigrant on the street and ask them for their papers. Why? Because it is now the law of the land.